Hello, and welcome to the Weekly Scroll Podcast. My name is Ryan, and with me we have a wonderful guest and regular here on the show that is Stella Condrey. How are you today, Stella?
I'm doing very well on this beautiful sunny morning.
Yeah. You know what? And without doxing either of us, I realized a while ago that I think you're the closest person to me in the entire ttrpg nationwide space. Um and I think we've talked about how close we are, but
Yeah,
you're within
I'm,
you're close. You're
I'm
close.
gonna say it. This is a cultural victory for Northern California over the wretches of Southern California. I hate to get into my own personal biases, but I believe that Southern California should be bulldozed. Nothing of consequence has ever happened there. Uh, starting off the podcast with a
I
good
mean,
opener.
I will say, I'm only here by happenstance, and if it were up to me, I'd probably still be in Southern California. But you know what was even better? Central Coast, baby, split the
Oh
difference.
yeah, the Central Coast is
Um,
very nice.
I did used to live in San Luis Obispo, and it was
Mm,
like the most gorgeous place ever. So
yeah,
we'll just go with that. We can let the top and bottom fall off, and we'll just keep the central bit.
yeah,
Um,
that's fine by me.
but yes, it's been chilly at night, but surprisingly warm during the day, which is wonderful. It is also only November. We'll see what happens in December. But aside from the weather, one thing that I figured out, it was like last week. I just messaged you out of the blue and was like, "Hey, have you ever been like a regular guest on our show and not just like a player?" And it was like, "No, you haven't." And I don't know how that happened. But
No.
I'm glad to actually have you here on the show as just a regular guest, not just a
Mhm.
wonderful player.
Yeah, yeah. I'm glad to be here as well. It's a nice change of pace.
No,
Typically I have to be funny, and now I can just be as unfunny as I want to be.
I'm always as unfunny as I want to be. Hunter is the funny one, so you will kind of have to pick up the slack a little bit for that.
Rats.
And one thing right before we started, I was like, I don't remember the first time you were on the show. Do you remember the first time you
I
were on
I
the show?
actually do remember the first time I was on the show. It was to do, I believe, a Halloween special where we were doing Camp Coldwater, where I was playing some lady, and I know that we were talking about making s'mores out of pot brownies, and I got
Yeah.
like so distracted by the concept of s'mores pot brownies that I didn't even mind being horribly killed by the beasts or whatever.
That's so funny. That was Side Quest episode 3 that came out. It doesn't even list when it came out. That was God, that was at least a year and a half ago, if not longer at this
Yeah, I think
point.
about two years at this point
Gotta
because it was
be.
a Halloween thing.
Yeah. Yeah. Damn. Damn. Well, I apologize for not having you on as a regular guest sooner. I think I was just like, oh, Stella's just always going to
Well,
be here.
yeah, I
So we're
mean, I
good.
I always I show up regularly. That's
Yeah.
close enough to a regular guest.
Well, I mean, at this point, you and Josh are kind of considered part. You are considered part of the show. You know what I mean? You're
Oh
not
yeah,
on as
yeah.
often as me and Hunter, but I think the four people on the Weekly Scroll are you or us two, you two, and then Jert rounding it out.
Yeah.
But But anyway, we're here to talk. I guess tabletop stuff. Is that a thing that you do?
Yeah, yeah, I do it from time to time.
Yeah,
I guess we're kind of here to talk about like my recent releases
yeah,
because I've
yeah. Well,
actually
let's before that. So Stella Condrey, who the heck is Stella Condrey, and what might people know you for here in the TTRPG space?
you might know little old me from getting started with an RPG pamphlet, I guess mailing list for Mothership called Rimbound Transmission. For about a year, I published not a weekly, a monthly pamphlet for Mothership with gameable shit for you to use. And admittedly, I've stopped doing that because it's really, really difficult for a one-person team to do monthly releases. Even if it's just a pamphlet, this is my advice to anyone listening who is thinking, oh, you know what? I should do monthly releases. I have seen my friends get burnt time and time again. Not week, month. I have week on the mind because it's the weekly scroll, damn it. Month five is a wall. You don't think it's going to be a wall, it's a wall. It will get you. And then you have to do the remaining 7 months, and it is not going to be good. But I stuck to it because I am insane, and I did a lot of stuff that I'm proud of with that. Um, After that, I then went on to publish a uh, I went on to publish a small adventure zine for Dungeon Crawl Classics called Prison of the Forsaken Bear God. I know Ryan currently has that in print. However, we cannot show the cover of it on Twitch due to misogynistic double standards. Um,
Surprisingly, art is okay sometimes.
Art is okay sometimes.
Yeah,
Well,
sometimes, but we're not gonna risk it.
yeah, we're not gonna risk it.
Yeah, great cover though. Yeah.
Imagine if Red Sonja got the Conan treatment, and also she was built like a brick fuck house. Um, you can at least see the cool back art.
Boom.
Yeah,
Cover them nips. There we go.
yeah. We're very modest here.
Yeah. Yeah.
After that, I ended up doing a little bit of other stuff, and I've kind of just been doing a bunch of stuff recently on blogs, on other things. You can generally find me on Blue Sky not talking about RPGs, um, but I do talk about that kind of stuff from time to time. Uh, so yeah, if you know me, you probably know me from Mothership. Uh, and I am actually getting back to Mothership after a fairly big hiatus, so
There you go.
something in the works to pay attention to, I guess.
Yeah, I definitely had rimbound transmissions before I ever really knew you. And then now you're here, part of the show, on the show, which is really, really cool. I have the original like Ziploc baggy one, like
Yeah,
full of all of
yeah.
those. Yeah.
The Ziploc
Um
baggie that smells like phthalates.
it does. It does. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um and then because I know you have it's all collected also at Space Penguin, where you can get all of
Hmm.
those is the thing that I don't know how people don't do more often, just like turning the book sideways and having like a three, just a pamphlet folded out in a book. It's so
Yeah.
smart. Yeah.
I mean, originally it was going to be all relayed out in a book format, but I realized that I had written for the pamphlet format so seriously that it just wouldn't work layout wise, just turning it into like two typical spreads.
Yeah.
So that was, I think it worked fairly well, while also being out of necessity, really.
Yeah,
Um,
I think Fairly is missed. When I first saw it, I was like, it literally blew my mind. Where I was like, if anyone that has put out a bunch of pamphlets doesn't collect all of their things in pamphlet form, just like full page in a book, like going forward, they're missing out because it was such a clever thing to do.
yeah. And
Um,
then yeah, um, over the past year, I guess another thing you might know me for is I was the lead editor for a tabletop RPG amateur press association called Red Solstice, which was released on the solstices. And yeah, recently issue 6 hit storefronts. If you were really a fan of Red Solstice, you would understand that this came out December 2024. However, my life got really busy, which is also why there has not been a Red Solstice for the past year or so. Um, yeah, there's a bunch of them. A thing that I pride myself on Red Solstice is getting people who don't typically do tabletop RPG art to do the cover. Uh, every time I've given them the prompt, hey, do something you think is self-indulgently cool, and every time I've had a really good result. Um, yeah.
yeah, this one's a
Uh,
dope cover. Well, who did the one for number 6? I just popped that
that
up on the
was
screen for people to
yeah,
see.
yeah. That was Danny Loon. Uh, which yeah, absolutely lovely art. Very, very proud to have that mailed out and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, that's probably where people know me from, if they know me from anywhere besides here.
It's here, and but then you also have some other stuff cooking lately,
Oh
like
yeah, yeah.
this one here.
Yes, that is the door in Murex Canyon. That is my take on a far future dying Earth science fantasy role playing game setting. Uh, it is. It was recently released via Spink, Space Penguin Inc. For those unfamiliar, basically, uh, it was just me thinking about. Yeah, actually, I mentioned earlier that I like getting people who don't typically do RPG art. This was actually someone's first like time being commissioned, who did the
Really?
art for the Dorn Murex Canyon, which is absolutely wild to me. Because like,
That because it's great and it's great on a book. That really shocks me actually.
yeah, like look at this. Oh, well,
I got it. It's
yeah,
right there on the screen.
yeah.
Yeah.
Just there's so much. Like, just
Oh
look
yeah.
at this. Look at well, yeah. Look at this kind of stuff.
I'll
It's
pull that
just
page up. There you go. There it is. There it is.
yeah,
Page
just
16.
random ass
Yeah, it's
pages.
dope. It's do they do comics? Were they already doing illustrations or like
Yeah,
what's
they
the
were.
deal?
So I actually found them on uh I found them on social media because I was just like, hey, where's a place where I'll find people posting art that's kind of weird post-apocalyptic stuff? And I found someone who was doing art of the video game Hylix, which I've never played, but it looks cool. Uh, and then I was looking through their account, and then I saw another account, and just saw like out of the blue that they had offered like a quick commission in like someone else's mentions. And I was just like, hey, I know this is a long shot. Would you be open to doing a book? And G was obviously open to it and was absolutely a delight to work with. If you're ever on the hunt for RPG art and you can get in contact with G. Gilrain, do it. Absolutely, absolutely love what they did.
Yeah.
Um,
I'll get the links to them from you and make sure it's down where
oh
links
yeah,
go.
yeah.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, no, that was my take on a far future kind of post-apocalyptic science fantasy setting. If you're a fan of stuff like Caves of Kud or other such things, Dying Earth, it's very much in the vein of that. Although I always try to avoid being unnecessarily what's the word, derivative. So it's very much my own thing, drawing from a lot of sources. I made a few I made a small like appendix in thread about it the day before it went live, and I ended up mentioning a scientific study about the refinement of copper from ions via the use of specialized bacteria. So if you just want weird shit, this is probably up your alley. Um, it is a level 5 adventure statted up for both Cairn and BX. So pretty much any like, OSR game, you can probably make your own from it. Uh, it's yeah, I don't know what to say. That's the
Well,
problem with having me on.
what's the core what's the thrust of the adventure? Like what gets you up and going in it?
Well, here, let me just read you the back page. Eras ago, a nameless empire needed more. Soon their need for ever more expansive and ever more resource-hungry factories was butting up against a monumental problem: geography itself. It was not worth it to level an entire mountain range for a factory, so the factories grew upward in a Gordian knot until it was so bad something had to be done. The Imperial Magi's had a simple plan. If the world had outgrown its usefulness, simply leave it behind and move their industry to a pocket dimension, fueled by hyperbolic space-time. Once there, they could build out as much as they wish, an entire clean slate, planned to perfection to create the ultimate factory. And so they did. That empire fell in one day in a rain of Kaela-mutic fire. The only remnants was a single bunker housing a portal to a factory. With the rest of the Empire destroyed and unable to provide power to the bunker, the pocket dimension froze. No time has passed inside the factory, even as the countless aeons have erased even the faintest memory of the place. It is a relatively small hex crawl where in the center there is a factory full of ancient technology that is very strange and very valuable. Uh, it is very much a me joint, meaning I don't provide a lot of hooks. Should probably be incorporated into a larger thing. However, this is I already say it on here, it's a 5th level adventure. Uh, so you can slot it into much of anything. A lot of people are going to want ancient technology. So that's kind of the thrust of it.
What is Kylomutic fire?
Well, do you want the in-universe explanation or do you want my explanation?
I mean, both is fine.
My explanation: orbital laser bombardment.
Dope. Okay.
Yeah. Uh, there's a lot there. The world was undone by massive orbital lasers,
I
scorched the
mean,
Earth.
it's that's a not distant possibility for us if they stop crashing them into the atmosphere.
Huh? Well, no,
But
that requires them to be competent enough to send something big up there,
oh, you're
which
right. They're just
we're
gonna
far
send
from that.
they're just gonna send so many that they start crashing into each other and then slamming down into Earth. That's what we'll
Yeah,
get.
we're gonna get Kessler
Um,
syndrome.
oh god. But that sounds dope. That sounds dope as hell. Like you said, like being able to tuck that into basically any setting. That's one of the things I really like about your adventures, and the way you write in general is I'm a fan of adventures that just give me the things I need to run it, not tell me how to run it. You know, like you're not trying to tell a story. You're just setting the scene and giving the players and the locations and letting the players tell the story, which is a, a how
Yeah, then
really enjoy. Yeah,
same here. I cannot stand boxed text.
yeah. Yeah, I don't
This
want
is
to
just
say
like,
it's the right way because everyone can play their own way, but it's the
yeah,
way that I prefer. You know, I'll
yeah.
say that.
It's right for me, and I am the
Yeah.
only person who matters.
I mean, you are the writer, so
Yeah, yeah,
it matters
exactly.
for sure. Um, yeah, so that is the door in Murex Canyon. Like you said,
Yeah.
you can grab that over at Space Penguin Inc.
Space
We
Penguin
did
Inc.
Yeah, we did talk about it on yesterday's episode with Jerk. So chatted about it a little bit more. So if you want, I guess even more, well, it's probably about the same amount of detail. Check out that. But we'll make sure, obviously, the links are below. Make sure you go snag that. Um, the other one that just my gosh, the cover for the other thing that recently came out on your itch goes so hard. So I know
Yes,
you know what I'm talking about. Tell me about this beautiful thing that is up on the
yes.
screen next to me.
Von Hynd Manor, wherein is told a tale of bloodshed and diablerie. This is actually a remake, or I guess kind of remaster, in a sense, of a one of the earliest things I ever did for RPGs, which was a little horror pamphlet about a family of werewolves. And it has been expanded out from a 1 page, well, I guess 2 page pamphlet, to a 20 page half letter zine, uh, which gonna say I'm very proud of how it turned out. This also was done by someone who doesn't do a lot of work in RPG illustration specifically, but an old high school friend of mine, actually the person who did the cover art of Red Solstice issue 1, uh, because it's all connected. Yeah, yeah, with the sick ass unicorn and the elf fighting the robot that's emerging from the ground.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, Von Hind Manor was my kind of it was me trying to do like a slight remix of Dracula. For anyone like familiar with Dracula, I think you will see some stuff that is lifted straight from there. Um, But yeah, it is all about a very rich, noble family that are tucked away in the fog-shrouded mountains of Bavaria, sometime between the invention of the flush toilet and the unification of Germany. Um, which, admittedly, a fairly wide range. Not the widest, but you know. And it is entirely system neutral, and currently it is itch funding on my itch. The way this works is if it gets to 600 USD of money raised, I'm basically saying, hey, I've broken even on this. It's pay what you want now. I'm a very firm believer in having things be pay what you want because I wouldn't have been able to get into this hobby if it wasn't for free things. Um, so I'm a big believer in that. But I did also spend $600 between the editing and the illustration. So, so I don't want to be $600 in the hole. So I am itch funding to have it free. But if it does get to $1,000 total raised, I am going to do a print run of this and hopefully get it out to storefronts so people can have it for themselves, so they can see this beautiful art in person. Yeah, that's kind of what I've been doing with that, and I think it's good. I wouldn't have released it if I didn't think it was good. But I've had a bunch of friends run it actually, which is very rare. I typically don't get a lot of play reports right as things come out, but I like released this on Halloween. So a bunch of people were just like, "Oh, you released a horror thing on Halloween? I know what I'm doing tonight." And every playthrough I've heard of this has been like radically different, and I find that so interesting.
Well, I mean, again, part of it is because you set the scene, you give us a players, you give us a location, and then you play the adventure, the way that it strikes you, which again is the way that I really like to play games versus, like you said, box text. I mean, if the adventure already has an ending written at the end, it's not something I want to play. You know what I mean? Like I want to discover what that is.
Yeah.
And this does it goes hard.
I
I love
actually
you actually.
no, no, you first, then I'll.
Oh, I love the character. I was gonna say I love the character portraits. They're incredible.
Hmm.
But for some reason, the Von Hynd Manor map, with just like the way I don't even know. It's like, how would you describe this style?
This is hastily sketched by yours truly.
Yeah, I don't know why I love it so much, but something about it just tickles me in a way where I'm like, this is like abstract but makes so much sense at the same time, in the way that like you can lay out a three-story building, or at least two with like a side part for the servant quarters, and it makes total fucking sense.
Yeah,
It's great. I
yeah.
really
The
like it.
connect. It's just a big old graph.
Yeah, I'm a
It's
fan.
how a lot of my home game dungeons actually, because when I need to just make something where like the exact dimensions aren't that important, um, you know, in a lot of cases I just go and start like making a little graph. Uh, yeah, the all of the portraits were specifically designed to be in-universe artifacts. Um, if you pull up the like spread that has four family members, the two sons, daughter, and grandma, that spread, like it is said within the module that there is an empty frame for a portrait, because this kid is too young to have gotten a portrait painted yet.
Yeah,
So we had a lot of fun with that. To tell you a little bit of how the sausage is made,
please.
this actually was supposed to be released on Halloween, and we were trying to get it released on Halloween for 3 Halloweens in a row. But the editor got very busy which happens sometimes. So this has been like a great weight off of my shoulders creatively because I have just been sitting on this, mostly mostly complete document for a long time. So I'm very happy to get this out and see people playing it. It is rather horrific, as my stuff tends to be. Uh, there's a lot of dark stuff. So yeah.
Yeah. One of my, I mean, go download it. But one of my favorite things, also is the option for, where is it? Am I
Oh,
missing it from like a very first page?
is it the different lycanthropic
The
natures?
different lycanthropic natures that, like, that. It's so interesting when I first read it and really thought about playing through something and how vastly different the game can be just based on like those three options where it's like just the moon or like the either human skin or wolf skin part. Like it's crazy how you could approach kind of like, I don't know, if you're trying to defeat the wolves, quote unquote, kind of thing, how you'd have to approach things so much differently based on like the
Oh
weather
yeah, yeah.
chart and everything like that, and the different types of lycanthropy.
Yeah, yeah. I did like a I'm not gonna say a deep dive, but I did like a dive into like various historical like
Oh,
European Wolfman tales for like a
the
lot of these.
Lugaroo and all that stuff.
Yeah, yeah. The wolfskin one was like specifically from I admittedly it's been like 2.5 years since I did that deep dive. Probably yeah, more than that. So I can't quite recall off the top of my head, but like, yeah, I'm pretty sure it was a Norse myth about like a man who had like the wolf pelt that he could, go back and forth between. There's a lot of interesting stuff within like werewolf mythology. I think like a very famous one, specifically within Southern Slavic mythology, there isn't really a distinction drawn between like a vampire bloodsucker-esque creature and a werewolf, which was also kind of part of the inspiration for me taking Dracula and making it about a pack of werewolves. Because I feel like, you still have this very obvious metaphor of the nobility preying upon the people, that they rule over. But I feel like, there's a lot less sensuality in having your intestines ripped out by a wolf than there is like your neck bitten, which I feel like is important. We need a less sensual world.
In a less sensual world, guys.
Hmm.
Stop biting necks, people.
Yeah. Everything
Um,
needs to get more unpleasant.
yeah, gruesome. That's what we
Yeah.
really need is more gruesomeness in 2025. Leave the neck in 2025 when we hit 2026, people.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, I mean, I don't disagree with you in the case of the adventure, right? Because Dracula, I love vampires. I
Hmm.
love them so much. If I had one wish, I would just wish to be a fucking vampire. Um, but I will say it's been done and then done and then killed and then done and then much like a vampire, like comes back and keeps fucking going, right? But I feel
Yeah.
like werewolf hasn't really been done nearly as much, and I'm glad we'll see how Wolfman is with Eggers coming out. Maybe
Oh,
that'll give a boom.
is that the one that's going to be in Middle English?
I think so.
I'm not really like an Eggers guy, but I'm a really big fan of historical linguistics, and I've watched so many short films that are just like, hey, here's like a casual conversation in like old English, and I eat that shit up. So when I heard that there was like a big movie that is coming out in Middle English, I got really excited.
We'll have to look into that. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
because they put out like probably the best Disney movie the past 10 years and the best, I think it's a Marvel movie, even the black and white Wolfman movie that no one's really heard of or seen, which was crazy. Thinking that was going to get some wolf stuff back, but again, like nobody's even heard of or seen freaking Wolfman.
I
But yeah,
I
we'll
certainly
see.
haven't.
Oh yeah, Disney released like a Wolfman Marvel movie, and then just didn't promote it at all. Kind of like Blue Beetle, just threw it out there without
There
telling
was a Blue
anybody.
Beetle movie?
Exactly my point. So, yeah. Uh, but yeah, there's a black and white Disney Wolfman movie that actually goes kind of hard. You should check it out. But yeah, I'm excited.
Yeah.
Anyway, excited for a werewolf movie. But I really like the way that you did push it out of sensuality into like the gruesomeness. You know, especially it just fits so well with having an entire like rich family obviously as like the pack of wolves. Like it's just a clever way to really mix and match all of it. And then even the colors throughout the entire adventure, obviously it's got to be red. Obviously it's
Hmm.
got to be red. But the portraits, the way that they're done, and it they're it looks like it's painted in blood, which is super dope. um
Yeah,
but
honestly like talking to, I mean, the illustrator, she's a good high school friend of mine. So obviously I'm gonna have nice things to say about her, but like there was a lot of stuff that like she was like going into a bunch of stuff. If you have the illustration of Heidi up specifically, I told her that it was like so I told her that it was very clever the way that like her neck is kind of weird and wonky because like, you know, human necks, the whole straight down. Wolf necks, the whole it's to the back because, you know, quadrupeds versus bipeds, but hers is kind of just like a weird wonky
middle,
halfway space. And I was just like,
yeah,
that's like a really good detail. And a lot of these are actually like edited from public domain illustrations, and like, you know, bashed together, painted over to create like a bunch of stuff. I'm sure if you look at the picture of Dora, you might be familiar with that skull used quite often in indie RPGs, because it's a pretty sick skull, you got to admit. Um, but yeah, no, just all of this stuff. Um, kind of put together, and she showed me like the original illustration. She's just like, yeah, the neck was kind of weird on this to begin with, so I knew that like that had to be the base for someone with weird kind of wolfish anatomy.
yeah.
And there's just a lot of great details. I love the way all of these turned out, and seeing them come from very basic sketches where it's very roughly like photo bashed together into like the full illustrations was absolutely wonderful. Yeah.
So for the people that are going to go download this after they hear all about this, what is the thrust, or what is like the core kind of beginning bit of Von Hynd Manor? What gets the players kind of up and running into this area? Like, who are the Von Hynds? Like, you know,
Yeah, yeah.
what's their situation like?
So the Von Hines are simply a family of specifically Bavarian nobility in the late 17, early 1800s. It is a situation rather similar to Dracula, just like a place that's a backwater, hardly anyone ever thinks about it. However, the mother of the family, Dora von Hind, is a powerful sorceress on top of being a werewolf. And she is able to tell the future. And every, I believe it's every, I think it might be every solstice or every equinox. I cannot recall. Uh, Off the top of my head, one of the two. She can tell people their future. And as such, there is just a lot of very rich people who go to the Von Hines to see what the future holds for them. On top of that, there is just like a small town nearby, just a, you know, typical Bavarian village. And it's just like a little hex that you can drop into your world uh, with just a small little point crawl in it. If you spend enough money in the town, the Von Hines will notice and they will invite you because they do want rich people to give them money. Yeah, there's just like a lot. There's not really like a traditional hook because I don't tend to do those because it's just like a weird location that you can get in over your head very quickly. Um,
I love that
yeah.
though, and it's interesting the way you wrote it to be like, if things were slightly different in a couple of places, this wouldn't exist. But the town is far enough away from everything else that no one really messes with it. The Von Hines aren't really rich enough to, because I love the description of Werner, who he's basically like, I just want to be left alone and hunt, but we need the money, so she has to do these readings. So they're not quite rich enough to not have to do it. The other noble families aren't like so rich or powerful that they could really wipe them out. There's this just really cool coming together of these very specific set of circumstances to put you in like this exact tiny little hex for it to work out. Where like even if the town was a little bit bigger, because there's even a part where it talks about, maybe a couple of generations ago, the town could have got together and wiped out the von Hinds, but like there's not enough of the people now, so everything is kind of in this perfect mix and stuff where all of this like makes sense in a really interesting way. Where
Yeah.
again, if any of those factors are kind of pushed in a different direction, the whole thing would kind of fall apart, or not the adventure, but just like the situation. Someone would move, or something would trigger something, but there's almost this like stasis that this
Mm-hmm.
little hex is in, and it's just in this constant loop because everyone is like just not quite able to kind of break out of it. It
Yeah.
I don't know. It feels really cool.
It, what can I say? It's gothic, baby.
Yeah, I love
Yeah,
that
no,
goth lit. Yeah,
yeah. The thing that I think the part of the thing is like, because this was kind of sitting mostly finished for like 2 years. I ended up like rereading it, having forgotten most of it, and it made me realize what kind of stuff I put in a module that makes it a me module. Um, and I think part of that is there's just a lot of random events that can entirely change the course of this that are just totally outside the player's control. And it's not just like, oh yeah, rocks fall, everyone dies, but there's like a there's like holding cells for people who are going to be butchered and eaten. And there's just a chance that there is someone in there. There's not always going to be someone in there, but there is a chance, and there's like a D4 list of like the different people who can be there. Uh, and there's it. I mean, I guess it's all about maximizing the chaos. You know, you're
yeah.
never sure what exactly a playthrough is going to be like. Um,
Well, because once again, going through the adventure, you really, the we got John Davis in the chat, and like the location is the hook. Like you really give this the little hex part with the little point crawl in it, and it really is just, here's a list of random encounters. Here's a list of all of the people, including like all 20 servants, and then every kind of space that they could go with the stuff that's there, and then you hit the back cover and you go,
yeah,
okay, I have all of the things to do it, and now I just
yeah,
have to go do it. Again, there's no
yeah,
direction, there's no ending. Like, I don't know.
yeah.
I love it.
The only way for it to end is someone important to die.
Much like real
Uh,
life.
yeah, yeah.
Um,
Actually, John Davis in the chat. I already mentioned it, but I think hammers would be like a great way to do this. There's a lot of Catholicism going on in this. I mean, it's a mountain. It's a small Bavarian village. I guess there's got to be some amount of Catholicism.
yeah, John said probably about 10 minutes ago, want to run this with hammers. So
Yeah,
I think you
yeah,
guys are on the same page. That means I think maybe one of the next APs we get to on the channel should be Von Hind with hammers, and
yeah,
you, me, and well, I guess you would have to run it, and
yeah.
then me,
Maybe.
John, and Hunter can play in it, and there we go.
Yeah, I'd love that. But yeah, no, those have been the two kind of commercial releases of October.
Of
Uh,
October, yeah.
because I'm not releasing everything. I'm not releasing one thing a month anymore, but I still think I'm fairly prolific because I've done some other stuff this year. On my like blog, I actually released two different Spelljammer adventures. Um, you know, because I'm a big fan of Spelljammer. One of them is heavy on the horror because of course it is.
Horror.
Yeah, yeah, dialect stuff. You know how it is.
No,
It's like how
it
I
was
say,
it was a question mark. I was like, I wasn't sure if you were saying
oh yeah,
one
no, no,
syllable or two there.
yeah,
Um,
no, no. It's like how I say pillow instead of pillow.
oh, gotcha.
Yeah.
how do you say button?
Button.
Button. That's right. It's not
Yeah.
button. Anyway. Uh but so what's your blog? Where can people find
Yeah.
the
No,
blog?
my blog is let me find the URL actually exactly. It is pounds of nothing. POUNDSOV. No, OF. Sorry. NOTHING dot blogspot.com.
There you go.
Uh, I post there on the regular. Unlike a lot of other blogs, I don't tend to do like theory posting or like mechanic posting. It tends to just be stuff that is I definitely think it's posting.
Oh no. I
Uh,
was talking about something else. Never mind.
yeah. I just tend to post shit that is eminently usable. Uh, for example, my most recent thing was a D66 random potion generator. Nothing with like any of the actual like potions therein, but instead it is like trying to figure out the properties of it, all sorts of stuff. I had fun with that. I post monsters, massive hex maps, hacks for games. I've actually currently been running a small little community blogging project called the Magic Mask Relay, where the way it works is you write up one magic mask, and then you tag someone else to write a magic mask, and they tag someone else, and then eventually, when we've gotten 100 magic masks, then it's over. We've done the relay. It has been a little bit slow going, but I've still been having fun with it. I don't know. I just do a lot of stuff, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um you also I don't know if we talked about this or maybe I'm making this up. You already have East Lake Village out, right? Like the
Oh yeah. So there is, yeah, the Song of Eastlake, which was
Song of
a
East Lake. Yeah.
massive multiversal hex crawl, that I did not end up mailing you a copy.
I was
I
gonna
was
say.
planning on it, but life got crazy. Would you believe that actually Red Solstice issue 6 uh, was the reason why I ended up mailing out the international copies of Eastlake. It was a well, the reason I was delaying it is because it cost like $400 to mail out all the international
Oh
copies.
wow. Well, I mean that
Yeah,
makes
and
sense.
admittedly
Yeah.
part of that was the fact that I waited so long, but like I was waiting so long because I didn't know how international shipping was going to go down because you know,
Yeah. The world and all the things in it. Yeah.
yeah, all the problems therein.
Yeah.
But
All the
yeah,
problems in the
no,
world. Great shop, and I think it's Germany.
yeah, it is German.
Yeah.
If you want to pick up some of my RPG zines, you can actually do that at All the Problems in the World in Germany.
There you go.
Um, so yeah, if where
But
were
you
we?
said, but you said there's another. Your work. Is there going to be another East Lake?
Yes, there is actually a work on Eastlake 2. This is not being ran by me this time, but is instead being ran by someone who contributed to Eastlake 1, Hags. Shout Hags. Love her. I am still going to be doing the layout on this, and if you've seen the layout for the Song of Eastlake, you will know that means I'm in for way more work than I reasonably should be because I cannot help myself and go all out. Um, for any people unfamiliar with the Song of Eastlake and that as a project, it started off by, well, it started off with two basic ideas. Um, One of them was kind of cemented during the time that I played a game of Morkborg, that lovely Swedish game, which I was taught how to pronounce it by a Danish person. So whenever I go to pronounce it how I was taught by a Danish person, all the Swedes look at me like I'm insane, which, fair enough, that is the appropriate reaction to Danish.
Isn't it like more
Um,
Bori or something like that? It's some.
yeah, well, part of the thing is it's actually cognate with English Merkbury. which I imagine there's probably a Morkborg hack about playing like the world's worst pensioner called that.
Merkbury. It's nice.
Yeah, Merkbury. Um, where was that? Oh yeah, yeah. We played Goblin. I think it's Goblin Gulch by Dyson Logos. And we played it in Morkborg. And the thing about the goblins there is that if a goblin attacks you, you have to kill the goblin within a day, or you become a goblin. And that radically changed the dynamic of this fairly standard adventure. Um, so between that and me doing like a playthrough of the Wilderlands of High Fantasy as a solo hex crawl, where I was like bringing my own things, just like, okay, so like they say there's goblins here, but like what's the deal with these goblins? Um, it made me work on a project where I made a very small bestiary and then a very small, very bare bones hex crawl. And I had people fill out this bestiary, like, hey, what is an orc? Like, sure, we can all say, like, yeah, they're like green pig nose guy, you know. But like, no, no, tell me what exactly an orc is. And they fill out this bestiary, they create this setting just from these monsters, and then they have to fill out the hex crawl, which is just, it's very bare bones, but it's just like 13 goblins, 5 orcs, conflict. And you have to make sense of that with what you ended up writing with the bestiary. So you end up getting like these same like variations on you know, the same idea just repeated over and over again. And we're currently working on a version of that, but with a dungeon instead of a hex crawl. Uh, so that's fun. If you want to pick up the Song of Eastlake, um, it is currently unlisted on, well, unindexed on itch, and has been since its start. I don't think it's ever getting indexed. No idea why. It's just not. Um,
You can ask. They say you can like it's after like 3 days you're supposed to be able to like email them and be like, hey, why the heck ain't this indexed?
well, eh, that at
Eh,
this point,
eh.
who knows? Maybe when we publish Eastlake 2, they'll index both of them, or maybe not. But if you want to find it on itch, if you go to my itch page and go down to projects I've contributed to, it will be there. Um, yeah, the Song of Eastlake by the Eastlake Choir. Uh, it's it's good and it's free because it would be way too much of a hassle to actually split royalties with that many contributors. So if you want a over 200 page RPG setting book that is imminently playable and really easy to like slot into like weird multiverse travel stuff, Song of Eastlake's probably for you. I've probably talked about this on the show before, but
I think
um,
you might have, but still, I mean, it's dope. I have the hex map and table of contents pulled up right now, and just the list of people on there is crazy. You know, like
yeah,
Brandon Yu, Christian Kessler, Christian Sorrell, Kat Kirsch. I
yeah,
mean,
Luke
Stella
Gearing,
Stella Condrey. I mean, look at it.
yeah,
It's just
yeah,
crazy. Yeah,
Onslaught
freaking Luke
6,
Gearing. Yeah,
yeah,
it's
uh,
Reese Carter. It's a who's who of like dope like indie OSR people that should all be more famous than they are if we were in a different scene.
yeah,
But
yeah.
um,
uh there's some amazing stuff, and there's the thing that's most surprising to me is that there's two different mech warfare submissions and also two different midwestern horror submissions, um which uh I'm gonna say that, and it's interesting even seeing people like tackle the same genre, seeing how that differs person to person based on their artistic kind of thing. uh for example, the two mechs, one of them is very much like about like alien exploration and weird cool powers, And the other one I'm gonna say that was done by Nuclear Obelisk. Shout out. The other one was done by Sam Sorensen, and that one is, I mean, it's very much a Sam Sorensen joint. So it's like very much about logistics, you know. And the two Midwestern horror, one done by Eva Klein, the other by Jason Wardell. I would say Eva Klein's horror is very wet, while Jason Wardell's one is very dry, and I will not elaborate beyond that. uh,
Wet horror is it's
yeah,
interesting. That could just be like a thing to ask people. Are you a wet horror or a dry horror person?
yeah,
Um,
exactly.
um,
And there is also, for talking about stuff I've released digitally recently, there is the Forbidden module, which
yes.
yes, I did release something. Let's see when I'll check the date on that if I scroll up and then down. Yeah, I released this in March 2025. It is called Escape from the Eve Compound, and it is a modern day mythos horror adventure that I cannot talk about the contents of on Twitch. I just genuinely cannot. Um, so yeah, I think this is like one of the only things in recent memory I have like started out the itch page with a content warning because it's a lot. It is a lot. But if you want to start one of the most insane paranormal investigation tabletop role-playing game campaigns, I guess you could.
It's a lot, I'll say. Even just reading the intro, because most of your adventures have like a solid "this is what the fuck," at the beginning, and it's quite a lot. Yeah, I would
Yeah.
definitely say there's a content warning on it. But my goodness, it sounds great. It's a lot though.
Yeah,
Uh,
it's a lot.
yeah,
What can I say? When I write mythos horror, I don't fuck around. Um
obviously not. No, if you read
I
this, you will know. Yeah.
yeah, I this is the problem with being annoying about cosmic horror generally. Is that I think everyone else is doing it wrong. Um because too many people expect to survive.
No, I mean
Both
that's what's great about gothic horror is that like there is no happy ending. Everyone dies, and if you happen to live, it's usually like in squalor and depression until you just die anyway. So,
yeah. And
um,
I really like I lean into that when I do like cosmic horror stuff. So yeah, if you want a very fucked up module about libertarians in West Texas, I can say that with I can say that with impunity. It
yeah.
is about tech libertarians in West Texas. uh
Isn't it kind of funny how in 2025 there are no libertarians?
uh
A random political business there.
yeah. No,
But yeah.
this module is also very political.
Oh,
It's
really?
yeah, Escape from the Eve Compound.
I was being
Yeah,
sarcastic. Yeah, a little bit. Just it touches on some things that are hot button. I'll say.
yeah, very
Um,
hot button.
yeah,
Uh, I don't name drop. I don't name drop Donald Trump. I just say the current president because it's set in July 2025. I'm sure you can figure that out yourself.
yeah, yeah.
It was
Yes,
set
you bet.
in the far future of July 2025 when it was released March 2025.
There you go. Way in the. But hey, listen. Who knows what's gonna happen month to month anymore? So it's the difference could be quite a lot. So
Yeah.
um, are you got anything else that's cooking right now besides apparently this AP that we got to plan at some point?
Well, for stuff cooking, this was actually I mentioned earlier that I am working on some more mothership stuff after a fairly long hiatus of like doing mothership stuff. And part of that actually is that I'm working on a hex crawl for mothership. I will not give a lot of details now, um, but it is in the works entirely because a bunch of Redditors really pissed me off. Uh, for
Like Reddit
content.
does. Yeah, this is
Yeah,
why I'm
yeah.
not a
Well,
Reddit person. Yeah.
yeah. I'm not typically a Reddit person either. However, uh one of my things got posted in r/D&D memes and ended up getting like a lot of attention. Like an absurd, I was just like, where the fuck am I getting like 1,000 views on this from in like one day? And I find the Reddit thread. And it is people discussing my Rimbound transmission pamphlet called Deep Space Marines, which is a collection of 5 private military companies that you could work for. And one of them is called Yes Girls Private Security, which the basic premise of it is that the people there have to undergo extensive plastic surgery in order to look like real life anime women, and in the process have their identity entirely destroyed in order to appeal to rich men. And a bunch of Redditors tried to argue with me that I actually have a fetish for undergoing extensive plastic surgery to look like an anime woman. And I told them, no, I don't. I actually hate anime. And they're just like, prove it. And then I posted proof. Uh, and they're just like, wow, why do you hate anime so much? I'm just like, okay, well, I can't win with you people. But there was a bunch of people in the comments talking about how bad it was for the mothership brand that Tuesday Night Games allowed me to publish that with a third party license. So I told, I added Sean McCoy and I was just like, hey, we have a PR crisis. A bunch of Redditors think I got a boner. Uh, and Sean was just like, fuck, no, this can't be happening to us. Our good publicity. Uh, so it was the kick in the butt I need. I was just like, I've been thinking about doing a mothership hex crawl for a while. And originally I was going to do like a big mothership mech hex crawl. And then I realized I didn't want to write a mech system, uh, which happens. So this is going to be a weird hex crawl about biological horror. Um,
Are we
so
gonna
we'll
see
see how.
the Yes Girl security squad or?
Probably not.
Oh,
Uh,
but then it's not really like you know.
I, I don't worry. I'll include something that someone will think is a fetish.
Yeah. I mean, like a random table encounter or something is them like
Yeah,
running
yeah.
by or something, and like
A lady with boobs so big it kills you instantly.
yeah, yeah.
or,
Um,
or some other shit. I don't
there's
know.
got to be something.
Uh,
But I mean, if
yeah.
it's you, it's gonna be weird and gruesome and crazy anyway. So we'll see what comes from it. Um,
Uh,
but we talked about your blog. We talked about everything. Where can people find the rest of your stuff? Where is all of Stella on the internet?
if you want to find me on the internet, probably the best place to do that is Blue Sky. I use it quite regularly. Um, on there, you can find me at evilgoblin.wedding. Um, I additionally have a Mastodon account where I do a lot of like RPG blogging related stuff. However, that account is actually it is mirrored onto Blue Sky automatically, and same is actually true for my Blue Sky account. So you can find my Blue Sky account on Mastodon and follow me there, and you can find my Mastodon account on Blue Sky, and that would be at 500 pounds of nothing. If you just search on Blue Sky, you will probably find that Mastodon account. Um, So yeah, that's kind of where you can find most of my stuff. If you want like specifically the RPG stuff, you should probably follow that Mastodon account either on Blue Sky or Mastodon itself. Um, and yeah, that's kind of where you can find me. That's where I will be posting links to my blog. That is where, I will admittedly actually I do post like my main like itch releases to my Blue Sky, so I guess follow me there as well. But either way, you can find me on either of your Twitter clones of choice.
And then obviously your itch has been underneath you the whole time. 500 pounds of
Mm-hmm.
nothing.ish.io, and all of this stuff will be in the links where you can click it either on the podcast or it's 2025. You know how to find people. Just go to the notes of the show,
Yeah.
right? There's another thing that you were talking about before the show started, though.
Yes, there is one thing I want to advertise. This is
Yeah, please
something
do.
that I am doing as a favor for a friend, but honestly, it is something that I believe in anyways. If you go to the website www.momgenesfightppd.org, and the thing about genes, it's not like the pants, it's like genetics. MOMGENESFIGHT if you are over 18 or over 21 in Puerto Rico and have given birth, uh, if you are willing to donate some genetic material in the form of blood, you would be able to work on this project that is trying to find a possible genetic link between postpartum depression and, well, your genes. This is, uh, I'm going to say fairly good thing if you can, if you're willing to part with some blood. I know that's kind of ironic of me after I was talking about preferring werewolves over vampires, but still, you ought to part with some blood if you can and have given birth, and this is something you would be interested in. A lot of people suffer from postpartum depression, and anything to help out. This isn't entirely out of the goodness of my heart. My friend works at the lab that is doing this, but I think that this is still a good thing to do. Um, and it has been kind of crazy for them because of funding stuff, because like a lot of funding got cut if like you mentioned women in like your study, which did make like studying postpartum depression harder because they were no longer allowed to use the word woman um due to stuff which yeah,
Yeah,
it's just insane. Everything
yeah.
is insane right now, but yeah, again, if you are over 18 or 21 in Puerto Rico and you have given birth and you want to, do something good for people and for science everywhere, go to www.momgenesfightppd.org. The link of that will probably be in the description, but if not, just go to Internet Explorer or your other favorite browsers, and go in there and yeah.
There you go. Yeah, we'll make sure that that's down there. Yeah, I think Internet Explorer doesn't exist anymore, but I'm definitely an Edge guy. Um,
Mm,
so we'll excuse me for that mistake. Um, Stella, listen, it has been wonderful to talk to you. We got to have you on the show again soon. We haven't done APs in quite a while because both Hunter and my schedules have kind of been a little bit crazy. We got PAX coming next week. But starting with the new year, I think, because December's always kind of slow for us, we got to get back to APs. Maybe Von Hynd with Hammers and John Davis, and get Josh back on the show as well and get the gang back together. But it was a pleasure to talk to you. Thank you so much for coming on as a regular guest this time.
glad to be here. Yeah, if anyone wants to, talk, if anyone's run any of my modules and like wants to talk to me about it, I'm genuinely always down for that. Yeah, just hit me up on social media. I'd love to hear about whatever insane shit you get up to with my stuff. Most of it's available on itch. Currently, the door in Murex Canyon only available via Spink, but there's good stuff. Uh, Hope all y'all have a great day.
Yeah. Thank you so much, everyone that was here in chat, and you have a great day as well, Stella. We'll see everybody
Yeah.
later. Bye.
Bye.